This just so happens to be one of the most requested sports that we have. We are about to go to the School of Ringette. Welcome to this week's episodes of Beers and Beauties.
Doesn't matter if you got Coors, Busch, Bud Light, or a local shop's IPA. All beers are welcome at Beers and Beauties, baby. Let's go.
Okay, Addie, we're joined by a wonderful beauty here in the studio. Brett, introduce yourself to us.
Okay, well, I am Brett van Nieuw Amerongen, 22 years old, been playing Ringette for about 18 years, and I'm here to tell them a bit about Ringette today.
18 years? 18 years. Did you know how to tie your shoes but when you started playing Ringette?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Most likely no.
That is incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. So for folks, we have been asked this 100 times, it feels like, through social media to talk about Ringette. Obviously, Addie and I come from the wonderful world of hockey, and the best way to talk about a sport is to bring someone on who has lived and breathed that sport. So we're excited to have you. How's it going, Ads?
I was just going to say, when you mentioned the School of Ringette, we are in for a treat today. I am excited. I'm doing good. Brett, how are you feeling? Are you locked and loaded with that vodka over there?
Locked and loaded. Feeling good.
Locked and loaded. Yeah. So I think was that last week's episode, we talked about the fact. So for you who are new-ish to the show here and a guest of ours, but Addie and I drink beer on a regular basis, and we talked about on our last week's episode that we probably need to expand our horizons because not everyone is a fan of the beer. And then today when you got here, I said, so you're a beer drinker? And you right away said, nope.
So you have beers, right?
So what would you like to drink? And so luckily enough, we did have some vodka. And so I'm happy that you're here loosening up with us because we can't wait to talk about Ringette with you.
And before we even get into the Ringette whole thing, because I know that conversation is just going to go from 0 to 100 right off the bat, is also we sent it out into the podcast universe about, we call this show Beers with Beauties, but we're like, obviously not everybody drinks with beers. And we got a very, very good suggestion. So I just kind of wanted to throw it out to the Beauty Sports Desk table here. Bevies.
Yeah.
Bevies with Beauties.
It works.
It works.
It works better. I also then was just thinking, do we even need to have a with? Can it just be Beauties?
Yeah, that's fair.
Straight up.
Straight up.
We don't need to have anything with. It's just, we're just straight up Beauty sitting here.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Just
Anyways.
Beauty sitting here. Yeah, clearly we talk about
Anyways,
those all the time.
So, Brett, before we get, we're going to dive into, and we kind of started to talk a little bit about Ringette and hockey and the differences, but you said you started playing Ringette when you were 4 years old, right? You've been playing for 18 years. What was the decision maker? You grew up in LaSalle. That was like home, born and raised there. So what was your initial draw? Did your mom, your dad, your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, whatever, someone encourage you to get into Ringette, or what was the starting point?
Yeah, so my cousin played, and it was a Come Try Ringette Day at Oak Bluff Community Center.
Okay.
And my mom was like, let's just take her. It'll be fun. And I was like, okay, 4 years old, didn't really care. Didn't even know how to skate at that point in life. So they put some skates on me, sent me out there, and I just had such a fun time. The girls who were doing it were so nice, and they were pretty much just teaching me how to skate. And I don't know, they made me laugh. So then I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, very cool. And you were hooked?
I was hooked after that.
So Come Try Ringette, you're 4. Then where do you play? Did you play at Oak Bluff?
Yeah, it's like McDonald, the RM. Yeah. Yeah, you just you put your name in there and then sign up. Pretty much all you have to do is sign up and then you're in.
I love that.
That's amazing. And so you said you didn't because I always wonder how the progression of it happens. I have a son, and so that skating piece, it sounds like your first skating was literally showing up to play Ringette. You never went to the ODR or
no.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Nope, try Ringette Day.
Yeah, no. My sister used to do skating lessons, and I just was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to join. And then one day they're like, you can try it. And I was like, okay.
Alrighty then. Is she Ringette too?
No, that was the end of her skating career. I'm kind of the only one in my family who actually knows how to skate.
Okay.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of random.
I felt like that was kind of me when I started playing hockey.
Oh, yeah?
My parents, my mom, I guess they probably could get around a rink, but barely.
Yeah. It's always the stopping that's intimidating to people. And then when they fall one time, they're like, I'm out.
Yeah. I've looked for a friend's tooth once when we were learning how to skate. She didn't have she had a helmet, but no mask. Oof. And she caught the lip of the boards. And I thought, like, good friend of me, I was like white tooth, white ice. Just doing the feel around.
We'll get it.
Come out. I did. We'll come out with it. And of course, they can't.
What do you do with it at that point?
It's just a dead tooth now.
Do we put it?
But yeah, no, like that is, you're right. Stopping is the scary part.
Stopping is for sure the scary part. So then the next progression of it, so you're playing in Oak Bluff mainly. And then, so does it just kind of work your way into the city and then you start playing city teams and then provincial and then further? Like, what was your progression through Ringette?
So, yeah, I played for McDonald Wildfire. It's called for probably...
What a name.
Yeah, McDonald Wildfire.
I literally love that. Wildfire.
Well done, McDonald.
So, U14. And then, so, during those years, you kind of just play city teams and like... that's essentially it, really. Like you have provincials, like just all of that kind of stuff. And then my parents were like, oh, do you want to go try out for this AA team, which is the highest level of Ringette, at that age. Sure. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I had no idea what it was, like just went to go do it. And then I ended up making the team. I have no idea how. I was like... I probably had just grown and was like Bambi on ice, but they took me anyway. So then, up until from U14 to U19, I did AA for the Magic, it's called. Okay. So that's just teams in Manitoba too.
Okay, so is it by region?
It is, but you go to tryouts all together. Like everyone who wants to play AA at that age goes, and then they can kind of pick you. If people release you, they can take other people. Like, so you're not always within your region. I
was going to say, so is it like draft? So like everybody goes together and then you're just drafted out to whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to take, I think your top 5 people, I think, in your region, like who scored the highest, you have to take them.
Wow.
And then after that, it's a draft.
It's free for all.
Yeah, you pick and choose.
Full tilt.
Yeah.
See, this is different. So how rural did you guys get as Ringette? Because say growing up in Souris, I had no awareness of Ringette whatsoever.
I wouldn't say it goes too far, honestly.
It's really around the city?
Mm-hmm. Like there's Steinbach, obviously, teams, Stonewall, but I wouldn't say it goes like far past.
Portage?
Portage too, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Because Pembina Valley,
I wouldn't say so.
Think so.
I have some friends in Carmen, and I know that there is not Ringette out there.
Yeah,
Ringette out there.
It is different in the sense of it reminds you of other provinces when it comes to hockey where they don't have regions.
Yeah,
like Saskatchewan doesn't have regions. This is a bit different, but that's very interesting. And then it goes to U19, so you were still playing in the same league outside of graduating from high school.
Yeah. A year out.
Which that is more like Ontario hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. So how many teams are there in Winnipeg right now? You mentioned the Magic.
Yeah, so during my years, there was 4 teams. There was the Magic, Angels, Wild, and Flames.
Okay.
And we would all just pretty much play each other.
Oh,
and then
God,
you
would go war at the end of it all.
Kind of. You play them so much, it's like you feel like you know these people, and you're like, "Oh, right. I love you or I hate you."
Yeah, no kidding.
Could you imagine if you go into the tryouts one year and you're like a Flame, and then you end up being a Magic?
Yeah, that happens.
That's
if you get cut from your like home team, like someone else can take you if they want. That's happened a lot of times. Wow. I just got lucky. I was stuck with Magic for the whole time.
Are they the same colors as Magic base, like fastball, black and white?
No, it's like blue, red, white, like Magic.
Okay,
yes, stars.
All right.
The jerseys are kind of funny.
That's fun. I picture roller hockey kind of style when I think of Ringette, but it's very much not, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I would have no
like roller hockey
no
is very
idea.
Flash. Like
roller
flashy
hockey's
pants.
flash?
Yeah, remember when we went to Narch and like mission teams and whatever, and they were like flashy pants.
I forgot about Narch.
Ringette kind of looks like roller hockey.
Totally.
Because the pants are the same.
Yeah.
Like those, like, I don't know.
Totally.
Do you wear like a protection, like shorts protective?
Yeah, you have a
shorts?
girdle, and then you have knee pads, normal
Yeah,
like
shin
hockey
pads,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you have like a full pair of pants that you put on top of that. Yeah.
So that is like
It's like roller hockey.
roller, right?
And then you
Okay.
wear shoulder pads and elbow pads still. Same.
Yeah, shoulder pads. You don't have to wear after a certain age.
Okay.
Questionable.
So but yeah, that's kind of like a personal choice if you do or don't want to. I don't.
I
There
did.
you
I
go.
ditched my shoulder pads when I got to senior hockey, but it was just so I played less hard.
on. I'll never be in a position of danger.
I won't have to try as hard if I don't
I
wear these.
will never. I will never have to do too much of it.
God.
But I like that's one thing too. If I had the opportunity to ditch my shoulder
Yeah.
pads, but I would never not wear elbow
No,
pads.
no way.
Oh no, always elbow pads.
Always.
Do you have to
elbow
wear a
pads.
neck guard? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
And the weird cages.
Yep, they are triangle.
So-
and then
Shouldn't say weird. Different than hockey.
yeah, no.
Sorry. Very much standard quote for you. But
That's so funny because so you're gonna have to so you have to wear a neck guard but not shoulders
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
because
But
that's
it's-
well, I guess in case you got
it's
stick or
U19.
skate.
So when you get into U19, you can take them off if you want. Most people are like suggest like, oh, okay, you should probably still wear them, but I don't know many people who
Yeah.
do.
yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't.
right. They would obviously have to
wouldn't, yeah.
suggest that you
So-
wear them, but
So talk to us about obviously you played like through your youth sports here, and then obviously at some point you tried out for the provincial team,
Mm-hmm.
right? And made how many times were you on our provincial team?
So like Team Manitoba.
Yeah.
For Ringette, it's not. That's kind of not how it works.
Oh,
for us.
okay. Fill me
I
in.
know.
Yeah.
so
Fill us
let's
in.
go.
If you win provincials, you become Team Manitoba, and then you go to nationals as Team Manitoba.
Whoa.
So yeah, so it's not like everyone's trying out for this one team. Like you have your team, and if you win, then you're Team Manitoba.
So
Even for Canada game years?
No, Canada Winter Games was everyone tried out. So that was kind of the first time like I got to be Team Manitoba essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So-
every other year, it's like us going to Essos.
yeah, that's right. You compete for your way to get to Essos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's how you get to
So
nationals.
yeah,
Wow.
so it would be the same as that. Do you guys have obviously not, because in hockey, the Canada Winter Games rotation is every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the off year of that, every second year is a nationals where you would still have a Team Manitoba tryout the same as you would for Canada Games.
Okay.
But you go to a nationals versus a Canada Winter Games. They don't have that for you?
No. Yeah.
Interesting.
You
That
just
is
play with your
Your club team.
So how many back-to-backs did the Magic have? You obviously made it there one time. Are we talking back-to-backs here? Or what?
Well, you can go even if you're not Team Manitoba if you get second place. So that's kind of how I got to go.
Come
I know,
on.
yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
how does that happen? So if you come in first or second,
First place and second place get to go, but first place gets to beat Team Manitoba.
oh, and then the second place is just their team.
Yeah, you're just like your team. So we just won as the Magic.
This is hilarious. So
This is, yeah.
I am blown away
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
So
no,
how
I've
many
got so
teams
many
are in
questions.
nationals? Like 25?
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of teams.
Wow.
So every province has two teams that they can go put to represent.
Yeah, it depends on the province because some of them get more
Love this.
that are allowed to go just because like
Like
they
Ontario.
they have way more teams than we do. Like
Right.
Alberta too, but like BC will send one team. Sask usually sends one.
Yeah.
Atlantic, like
Yeah.
the East would
Yeah.
probably
All grouped together.
Right, would all be grouped together. Okay, that makes sense. So how many teams does Ontario get? Because they always get more.
Well, even at
They
hockey
always get-
nationals,
like
they get
Ontario.
two.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, blue and red.
Yeah.
They always in hockey. They
And
always
red
get
is
more.
always better.
And red is. I know.
It's
I
true.
know.
It's like they
It's
stack red.
100% true.
Yeah.
It's 100% true. So in hockey, when you do that, Ontario gets two teams because
Because they're huge.
Yeah.
they're huge, and everybody else gets one. But so how many teams do they get?
I think it honestly kind of depends on the year too. I would say like per age group 4 or 5 maybe. I'd go with 4 actually. That's
Yeah,
probably
that's
a
Four
safe
and
sounds
more
number.
is
right.
consistent.
That sounds.
And if they
that
just have an
sounds nice.
anomaly year, then they'll toss in 5.
Maybe.
Just apply for one more.
That's right.
Okay, so very cool. So how did you guys make out at nationals? Did you ever? Middle of
We
the
never
road?
did super well. Like I'd say probably the highest I ever got was like 5th place.
Okay.
But
Considering there's 25 teams that go to nationals.
well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's
pretty good.
That is pretty good. That's very good. Who would you say would be the most dominant teams for Ringette? Please don't tell me that it's Ontario 1, 2, 3, 4.
it's honestly, it's hard to say. It kind of changes every year, but I'd say Alberta kind of has a very strong.
Alberta.
Okay.
They have a lot more people to pick from. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you get through, you're playing for your club team, you go to a couple nationals or maybe one, I don't know how many you got to go to. When did your experiences start within our national teams? Either did you play on our junior national team? Yes, correct?
Yes, I did in 2019.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And you won gold,
Yep,
correct?
we won gold there.
Yeah, that's incredible. So talk to us about that experience.
So, Canada Winter Games is kind of where the junior team, that's where you get scouted.
Okay.
So you kind of want to go there, like do good, kind of show yourself off. You're there for your team, but also you're like, oh man, like I hope I do good.
Yep.
So they scout you there, and then about maybe a month later, you'll get a phone call or an email just saying, hey, we're interested in inviting you to camp. And they kind of set you up with a whole bunch of workouts to like prepare you for what's to come. So I did that, and then you finally get your invite.
To Ringette Canada camp.
From Ringette Canada. Yeah, cool.
There you go.
Yeah, just to camp, and then that's the tryout.
Where was camp?
My first tryout was I think it was in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because kind of Hockey Canada tends to centralize in Calgary.
Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of camps in Edmonton.
Okay.
And stuff like that too, but I think that's where the first tryout was.
Is home of Ringette Canada in Ontario? Must be.
Yeah, Ontario.
Okay. That's cool. So you had that experience. Talk to us about putting on a Canada jersey for the first time. That's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I feel like my favorite thing is seeing my name and number on the back of my jersey.
Also, let's pause here for a sec. Why? What is your let's tell everybody listening what your number is.
52.
Why?
When I was younger, I had 52 jersey just for a McDonald Wildfire. And
it's stuck.
So I had to pick my number in U14, and I knew for AA, and I knew like you keep that number if you play for that team, you keep that number throughout your whole 8 or 7 years. So I was like, okay, I have to pick one, and I was like, okay, 52 or 54. I was like, I'm not sure.
54.
I know those are the two options. So I was like, okay, I'm not sure what to do, and then I kind of looked at like this old photo I had of myself in the 52. I was like, oh yeah, I like that. So it just now it's stuck.
And
I never have to fight anyone for it.
There you go. That's right. You just had like I'll take my jersey now. Because as you say that, and then Brett, you just turned your head.
Oh yeah, I have a tattoo of it behind my ear.
I was like,
that's commitment.
Yeah.
She literally turned her head and was like, oh my God, well that worked out.
That's commitment.
That is commitment.
Yeah,
and that is and so it was like you just showed up and there was a 52 jersey, because I kind of have a similar story. When I started hockey, they just put all the jerseys on the stands, and it was numbers outrageous. And my mom, not being a sports person at all, love her to death, looks at the number 45, picks up, and she goes, "You're 45."
This is it.
For the first couple years of my life, Pen Dog made me 45. I will never forget it. And then I showed up and I picked 12 later on. But 45. So it was like, I didn't have an 8-year commitment to 45.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Sounds like you had an 8-year commitment to 52.
Well, and still. You're with
now I'm like,
now
now it's just my number. I've had that my entire
it's
life.
tattooed on
I would
you,
never
it's-
change it now.
That's right.
That's sick.
That's crazy.
I know everyone. I get that question so much.
It is so unusual. Like I wore 14 my whole life.
Yeah, that's more of a basic.
Yeah. And it was the thing. It started for me as I when I played ball, because I played fastball, I got given number 4. And then when I played ball in Brandon, a good friend of mine loved number 4, and I was like, it's all good. I'll wear 14. Yeah. And then after that, I just rocked 14 forever.
Yeah, totally.
But it's so standard. It's so boring. 14.
Well, it's
52. Like, honestly, when I was going through the Ringette Canada website, I was like, 50.
I know. I kind of like the sound of it though.
It's totally.
I'm into it though. It's got a nice ring to it when you put the story behind it. I'll say that much.
And I'll let you think about this, but I'm just gonna say whenever you come on the show and you say you've won a gold medal, you have to say one good party story that goes with that after. Just a heads up.
Oh yeah.
But so walk us through the camp. So you get the invite, you're on the plane, you're headed to Toronto or you're headed to whatever. What does a Ringette Canada camp look like? Is it fitness testing and all that kind of stuff, or is it just on ice sessions? What are we talking?
Is it a weekend? Is it a week?
Yeah.
Is it a series of things?
Usually it'll be a 4 or 5 day camp. They don't ever usually do 3 just because that's kind of short to get together. So you'll have a fitness testing and then it's 2 ice times a day for usually 2 hours for an ice time.
Yeah, okay.
2-hour rip.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
And then how many people were cut coming out of those camps, do you know, approximately?
In 2019, I think there was probably 35 to 40 girls, and they took 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, the Ringette community is smaller than the hockey community. There's less hockey or Ringette players than there are hockey players. And based on how Ringette is formed, you would have seen these people, because if you're winning your province, you're going to nationals on a yearly basis against them. Did you, when you went into that camp, did you go with other people from Manitoba? Did you know people there? Was it a terrifying experience? How was that experience for you?
It actually was kind of perfect in the sense that me and my friend Taylor both got invited.
Okay.
So we had each other, which was very nice.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then we both ended up making the team too, which was even better. But yeah, you go in there and it's probably one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done. Because I know who these girls are, but we don't know each other.
That's
for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Is there, this is going to be nothing to you as a hockey reference, but everyone who grew up in hockey that is around Addie and I's age knows of Mel Davidson. And it's this picture of Hockey Canada that you have. And honestly, there's kind of this fear around what she represents in terms of coach and...
She was an intimidating face watching you in the stands.
Yeah. Is there that in Ringette? Is there this long-standing member of Ringette Canada that has been a coach for a long time that is a mainstay figure that you remember in those camps? You just look up in the stands and you're like, oh my God,
so-and-so's here.
Allie, something, whatever.
So probably for me, that would be, she coached me in 2019 and also in 2022.
Okay.
Lori Horn.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was the national team coach for me twice. And usually when you see her, you're like, oh, okay.
Lori's in the house.
Especially before I played for her in 2019, you see her and you're like, okay, I know she's the coach. I can't mess up.
Yeah. And now you probably have a completely different opinion of her after being coached by her.
A little less scary now.
Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
Crazy? I remember, because it's so funny you bring up Mel D. I would remember Mel D in the stands, and I'm like, oh my God, it's go time. You can't even, you just see her and you're like, something serious is going on, right? And then you talk to her on the other side of the glass and she's like, how's your day going? I'm like, I just finished shaking because you're here.
It is. And I think it doesn't matter what age, or even if you're at a Hockey Canada or Ringette Canada level, or if you're whatever. I remember trying out for our high school volleyball team, and you still get the same jitters, right? Because you could potentially be cut.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're the coach. So it doesn't matter what level that is. It just applies to that person.
And it's like you just say, the potential of being cut. I don't know. I love that. I love that when people get into situations and they know that
it matters.
It matters, and you have to compete to be here. Because as soon as you put on that jersey, it means 10 times more. If you had to go through all this struggle, all this grind, all this work, and then you finally get to put on the jersey and kind of put the shoulders down a little bit. I love that. That's a really good way of saying it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kids, and especially in rural, there's no potential of getting cut.
Yeah.
There's no opportunity to get cut.
It's
so
harder.
Then they show up and do their thing and go home, and it's like you're missing this whole unreal feeling.
Yeah, or the odds are less because there's just not enough people.
That's right.
Yeah.
the competitiveness of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So you win a gold in 2019 and then you move on to the senior national team. And how, yeah. Okay. So you just did tell us about that transition.
It's crazy because in 2019, you watch the senior team and you're like, oh my gosh, these girls are so good. Like, man, like I can't imagine playing with them. Like this would be crazy. And then you go to the tryout and they're all there. And I'm like, man, like I cannot mess up today. Like I need to stab all my passes. Like, it's pretty crazy. It's just a whole new level, and it's playing with those girls and like watching them do what they do is like, it was so fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's just, and like they have like, they're older, like some girls are older too, so they have years of more experience than I do. And I'm like, man.
So how old, like what are you talking as the oldest person on your team probably? Dusty
29,
like Addie
29.
then? Okay. Not even, they're still babies.
There's still a little, a little.
So, I mean, we get that where you walk in and you've watched these players
I
and
know
now,
exactly who they are, and I'm like, you have no idea who I am.
yeah. And then at what point do you think, or has it really sunk in yet that you clearly are at the same caliber of a player as they are?
I don't even know. It's hard to say when. Like, sometimes I'm still like, oh my gosh, like, how am I here playing on the ice with these girls?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, just at the camps, like when you're playing a game and like things are just working together, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I did deserve to be here.
That's right.
Totally.
And it's funny because we've had some pretty cool people on the show, and you can tell people that are just very humble and excited to be where they are because everybody struggles answering that question. Like, when did you realize? And a lot of the people that want to continue on and continue progressing as athletes will always go, well, I don't like, I still get butterflies when I'm there. I still love the people that I play with. And then I look across the room and I'm like, I'm tying my skates with her.
Yeah.
Like, what? You know, so that's
I never thought
like,
you'd know my name.
you know, so it's like, and you've clearly proven yourself in that way that you can be there. It's not only that you've won gold and now you're, you know, on the senior national team. That's amazing. It's a huge achievement. Huge.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because now we've gone to, so where was your nationals? Like, what was that experience like? Like, we did the U19 where you're in Toronto, but like, what was the actual, like, was there an athlete village? Like, what was that? Worlds, sorry.
Yeah. So I'll go off of 2022 just because it was most recently. So it was it was just outside of Helsinki, Finland. And you're not really, it's not like an athlete village or anything. All of the athletes, we all were in one hotel though, like from all the different teams. I think we each had like a floor. And honestly, you don't really see them much. Like you're kind of on your own. Like every day they'll send out the schedule and you just pretty much follow it.
But didn't you, it's a different format, I think, though, than we would be accustomed to with hockey, right?
Yeah. This year was different than 2019 also. It's a little confusing. So in 2019, it was a series of 3 that we played against Finland. And then in 2022, it was 2 games. And so if you won the first one, you had like, honestly, it even confused me when they tried to explain it to me. So it's a series of 2, but if you lose the first one and win the second one, then it goes into overtime.
Oh.
And then that decides it.
So it's it doesn't add an additional game. It just extends the sudden death.
Yeah, exactly. So it was,
What was
they've
the
never done
sudden
it like
death?
that.
What was the sudden death? Was it like a whole other period? Like it just continued on? Or did it change the format?
They added another period and then you played that whole one out. And if it was still 0 or like tied 1-1, then it's sudden death until the end. Yeah. I'm not sure. It was a different format for sure. All of us, I think it took us like probably way too long to comprehend and understand it.
Okay, but leading up into this final 2 series, there was like a round robin, right? You had to get out of, or no?
Well, no.
Okay.
Because Canada and Finland are kind of just more advanced in Ringette. We have like they're bigger in Finland and in Canada than they are in like the USA and Czech.
Sure.
And There's
So
another
you kind
team
of,
there,
like-
and Sweden.
Okay.
So they kind of are all in their own pool, and
Okay.
Canada and Finland just play for the title, I guess.
So you were there for 2 and a period games. Did you have to play the overtime period?
No, we ended up losing both games, but we played them in exhibition games too. Like before, I think
Okay.
we had 3 exhibition games, and then you practice out there. So yeah, so essentially you went there for two games. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the Ringette community in Finland is pumping?
The Ringette community in Finland is crazy.
That's wild. So
Oh,
how did you do in your exhibition games leading up to those 2 final games?
We lost those ones too. Yeah.
Okay. So Finland was their
Finland came.
came to play.
Yeah.
So what are we talking score wise though?
So the first game was quite a widespread. But then the second 2 games were closer, and then I think the 2 final games ended up being like, I think the first one was like 9-2 or something,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
it was kind of I think the second game was around that too. So yeah.
Right on.
Okay, so Finland are rock stars.
Yeah, Finland.
Hey, I got a question for you, totally unrelated to much of anything really, but in hockey, when you score your first goal, you keep the puck. Do you keep the ring?
No.
Oh,
What
Yeah.
a great question. Do you do anything to symbolize a first goal in Ringette?
Nothing.
is there multiple rings like in a buck? Do the rings need to be frozen?
No.
Whoa.
They're just rubber.
Oh.
And so because I've held one and they could bend in half. Like that's how you want them to be when you're playing. You want them to be flexible and loose.
Yeah.
and
Essentially.
ours, you want to put them in a bucket so they're
Bucket of
cold.
ice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you want them as cold
No,
as
yeah,
they
no.
can be.
Otherwise, they stick and they bounce weird, and
No, not us.
and you don't get to. So you have no of any of your first goals in your career. You have no momentum.
I have not one thing from those games.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay,
So
that's-
what would be the Ringette version of a hat trick if you get 3 goals in a game?
It's a hat trick.
It's just called a hat trick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was something different.
I guess it could be a different name.
I didn't keep a puck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sure.
legit know nothing. So it's
Fair.
like 3 goals. Is there something unique that happens during Ringette that doesn't happen in hockey?
Unique. I don't even think so. Like that we not that I can think of.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so obviously, Addie and I, like we say, we come from the hockey world.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up in Ringette. You clearly, I can tell by your smile, you love Ringette.
Yeah.
Like it's very evident to watch, and I know people listening don't get to see you, but it's very evident to see that you love the game.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a desire or pressure or a conversation about moving to hockey?
Never once in my life have I felt pressured to go play hockey, actually.
Okay.
I just played it. I liked it. My parents didn't play hockey growing up, so they were just kind of happy to be there. They're like, oh yeah, like this
Yep.
is her sport. This is what she's doing. They never really, like, not that they like asked, but they didn't have to ask because I was fine with Ringette.
Yeah.
But even growing up, like everyone obviously played hockey around me. I think I was the only girl in my class for like many years that played Ringette.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, honestly, I've never tried hockey in my life. Like I've done the outdoor rink, but yeah, actually, you know what? I tried once, and it was in high school because I was like, oh, maybe I'll go play for the high school girls hockey team. Like this could be fun.
Yeah.
Went to try it, went to one tryout, and I was like, oh, this is not for me.
Okay. What about it?
I was just going to say.
just like I didn't really like. It's hard to shoot. Like it's just kind of a different mindset. And I thought, okay, this could be fun. Like I'm just doing this for fun. Like
Yeah.
my friends play. Like this is just for fun. Like I wouldn't quit Ringette. Like this is just on the side. And then I got there, and everyone was like, kind of really serious about it. And I was like, okay, I don't think I am
Right.
serious enough.
This is their
to like,
thing,
yes, this
and
is
this
their
is mine
thing.
for
Yeah,
fun.
this
Yeah,
is my
yeah.
exactly. I'm like, I'm
Gotcha.
gonna keep doing my thing.
Yeah, yeah.
and have fun while I do it too. So
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys to the hockey.
It's just so interesting because so one thing when we said off the top of the show that this is something that's been like honestly so requested for us to talk about Ringette, and we couldn't have done it justice. And I think Addie and I both have experienced in our time of hockey. Like I know that I didn't have an influence of Ringette. Like I said, my first kind of introduction to ringette actually was playing on the provincial team. Like Ashley Lutz
Oh yeah.
was
She
a
coached
ringette.
me in Canada Winter Games.
Yeah, so she played on our provincial team when I played, and she was my first intro to ringette because she came from ringette, and she was an
Interesting.
incredible skater
Yeah.
and an incredible hockey player. But she did the duality of hockey and ringette. That was my first ever experience. But you had different experiences of that.
Yeah, and I've so I feel like it's kind of funny because it's like ringette hockey, and then I'm kind of like in the middle because I've had so many unique experiences when it comes to the ringette side as well as the coaching side, because I was a skating coach, so I've done a lot of different things in between, and I think that that's one of the biggest and most exciting things that I'm jacked about this conversation is this perception that each sport has about each other, right?
Yeah.
Like ringette people are passionate, hockey people are passionate. So it's like, how do we start to understand more about each other's worlds and like break some barriers down, how I feel? Because we even had the conversation before on, because I was reading up on ringette, and it was built on the premise of actual like zero contact, which Brett thoroughly laughed at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that is a huge perception of ringette from a hockey perspective, is that like there is zero contact, there is zero compete, there is zero touching, I shouldn't say compete, that's not the right word, but like contact,
Yeah.
right? Where you say, no way, Jose.
Yeah, they do make it really well known that it's a no contact sport. I do agree, but it is very much
in-game, it's not.
contact.
Yeah, it's physical.
Yeah, like the difference is, I think it's just no hitting.
Right.
But
Which
also
is
girls
not-
hockey, no hitting, but
Yeah.
there's still so much physical contact. Yeah.
Right.
And it gets more intense as I think,
The higher you go.
go.
For sure.
For sure. And I could go on for days about how there's no hitting in female athletics, because there is.
Yeah, I
and
know.
it's literally a taught skill. But that's for another day.
Yeah.
Well,
We've if you go back in the 59 episodes, we've talked about this for a few minutes on many of them.
many of them. But it's like, where do we even want to start this conversation of the different perceptions of both hockey and ringette? Because I feel like now that we're actually sitting beside somebody who's like very, very high level ringette, I have so many questions. Like, what do you think is the main thing that people are looking at when it comes to this conversation?
I think I can speak to this from conversations that I've heard in hockey rinks and in the hockey community to a degree, is that did you ever feel any pressure to switch sports, or that you were missing out on something based on the fact that ringette doesn't have a post-secondary opportunity or things like that?
For sure. I probably have said so many times, like, mostly as a joke, like, oh man, I wish I switched to hockey just so I could go to university or college somewhere
Yeah.
else just to get that experience. But
Yeah.
Because I would say that's a really, really big conversation. And so my background is a lot of working with girls like in the skill development side of things. So I have worked with ringette players on their skating, because edge work, I'm telling you, they care. You know what I mean? Edge work sessions and things like that. But there are some really real conversations if you're not a Brett, say. If you're not a Brett that can make the national team. Right? What is that opportunity for a young female ringette person underneath? Because we're getting to the point where we are at the point in hockey where there's numerous opportunities. So then when we break down that barrier of opportunities for young female athletes, if you aren't the top pick, is there something for ringette players, or is it kind of like you play until you're 16 and try to compete to get onto these provincial teams and stuff?
yeah, pretty much at this point, like for ringette, if you're not like shooting for the national team or trying to make your way up to like the highest level, like you're doing it because you love it. And that's pretty
Yeah.
much the only reason. Like me and my friends like on my team, we're always like, man, we must really love this sport.
Yeah. And I think, and that's the part of that I think that Addie and I talked about before you got here, was that there is, like I say, there's this perception of the fact that it's a quote unquote, I'm giving air quotes here, dead end sport. if you're a female athlete who wants to pursue high level athletics, because now in hockey you can pursue an NCAA or a U Sports career, and then you can go over to Europe and play. You can go to the PHF. You can go to the PWHPA. You can actually make a living playing hockey now. That doesn't exist today in Ringette.
No.
And so, but then on the flip side of that, we've talked a lot about it on this show of playing things like we still play sports because we're athletes, we're competitive, we want to play. And so there's nothing wrong with a sport existing just purely because people love to play the sport and want to continue to play it. But I think that's where you see clash with hockey folks is that and selfishly as a hockey person, you're missing out on exceptional athletes that could contribute to hockey and continue to play at a higher level that are staying within Ringette.
Because I'll never forget, this was one of the craziest things. And I guess it's not that crazy, but in high school at West K, I started the female hockey team. But the woman who started it with me, you know when you used to have those decals in not decals, but like CD players in your car where you could put it in and then all of a sudden words would show up and it would go across and it would show Hot 103 or whatever. No, maybe. Okay. Well, she clipped this thing in her car and it went, Ringette is the best.
Oh my, interesting.
And it was one of those things where she loved the sport so much. I'll never forget it. I was in the Westgate parking lot. Kim McDonald, shout out.
We had Lana McKay on the show.
We had
Lana still plays and is
and
raves about
Jamie O'Brien.
Yeah.
All of them.
Trina, they all rave. All these
play.
moms, hockey, their kids are 13 playing hockey and they're still playing Ringette and love it.
And absolutely love it. But it was one of those things where I felt like she loved Ringette, but she was coaching hockey. And it was this is where we have to, because it's all about numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Is
Ringette growing or dying?
I think growing within Canada, but Manitoba, I feel like we're kind of at a standstill.
Some speed,
yeah. It's just, things are changing. It's. Yeah,
because so when I was looking up some stats, just to throw them out there, there was Ringette Canada says there's about 30,000 Ringette players in this country, and when I looked back, I can't remember the year that it gave the stat. There was 27,000, and I was like, well, in 10 years, that's not really growth,
right?
That's just population growth.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same percentage, right? And but hockey isn't all that much different. There was 90,000, according to IIHF, there was 90,000 girls registered, females registered with Hockey Canada.
Right.
So three times the volume. But that's the other part too. So one of the other things and the misconceptions that I think people have or perceived notions or whatever of Ringette is, and you can correct me here, is it a girls' sport? Are there boys that play Ringette?
It's getting more inclusive now, I'd say.
Okay.
Just kind of with the world changing.
Yeah.
Right.
So even less boy girl, just humans playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But it was before a girl's sport.
Yeah.
100% a girl sport, because when I think back, there's never, and I think maybe this is where one of the things for me is because I'm such a passionate person of just women being able to grow into whatever they want within sports. So I'm even thinking coaching or whatever the case may be. And boys never have to go through this, do you want to play Ringette or do you want to play hockey? Where girls always, well, I shouldn't say always, but they have to go through this conversation. And when we're talking about something like numbers, if we have more numbers on one side increasing, then it increases jobs, then it increases opportunities. And it's or is it the premise of we just need to start increasing girls at a younger age to pursue sports more? Because that is also a huge conversation within itself. And so it's
the other thing too that we part of the conversation around Ringette is that because hockey has lagged. And so there hasn't been girls hockey in every community that's accessible. And so, in those communities, if they didn't have a girls hockey program, they would default into girls Ringette.
Oh. And
then you stay there because you fall in love with the game and then you continue to pursue this love and passion, right? And so it also then makes me wonder that if as hockey grows and hockey, because it is still on a growth path where ringette has kind of flatlined a little, are we going to see ringette decline as hockey becomes more accessible in rural communities too? And who knows?
Who knows? Who knows,
Just
right?
putting her on the hot seat here.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, I know, and
not-
that's like it's a hard conversation because here's the real thing of like we were lucky enough to pick your brain on Ringette upstairs before coming down to the old studio,
Oh, yeah,
and
we had some aha moments. I felt dumb.
you can no, for sure, that was definitely a huge part of the
Is
conversation.
there icing? Do defense engage in offense?
So there's 3 down, those are up. Can they exchange? But it's like, you can tell it's a fun and exciting sport.
Yeah.
And we talked a ton about the shot clock because we're like, oh baby, that just adds an entire other element. The part for me that it's like, you can tell that this is a wicked sport. Like you can tell that it's fast paced, moving the ring. Like the thing that excites me as a coach is that exchange piece that you talked about. There's probably set plays that you guys have and all these different aspects and elements that are super fun. And the more competitive you get, and we feel that too when we've played at a high level in university and whatever, to be able to compete at a high level. And it's like, I'll go back to this sport was created at the very, very beginning to give girls an option of having an ice sport. Mm-hmm. Girls weren't really accepted on ice. So they created this sport for girls to be a part of. Why did it become one way or the other? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, why did we start this battle from 1963? It should have been ringette, because on the flip side of it, there are boys that play hockey that hate being hit.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and that's exactly right. Like when I was mulling, so Ash and I were driving yesterday, and when I was mulling, the only other sport that is only for women that I could think of was synchronized swimming. Can you think of another one?
I didn't even know that was an all-girls sport.
Well, I don't think there's men's synchronized swimming.
I've never heard of men's synchronized swimming. And now that you say that, the only one I've heard of is that one sport that's basketball that doesn't have the backboard. Netball.
Is that only for women?
No idea. We
only saw that at the Pan Am Games for the first time. It's a weird basketball. I actually, anyway, sidebar, I had a conversation at New Year's with a girl from New Zealand who, that was her favorite sport, netball. But
have you ever heard of netball?
No.
Okay, so anyways, but so that was my, like, because then my comments and thoughts were about the Olympics, and when people are trying to get things into the Olympics, you have to now in 2023, you have to have a male and a female version, exactly. Right? So by default, then ringette will never become, which is sad. If we're looking at growing a sport in that way, it's sad.
Yeah.
Because there probably are men and boys who would like to play the sport of ringette, but it will never, in the way that we're moving today with, this growth pattern, it's not going to happen.
I am telling you, one of the biggest hockey clubs, clubs or organizations created in Winnipeg was created by a guy and it's no hitting, just for fun. And it was because his son said, I don't want to hit. I just want to play for fun.
Yeah.
And it just seems like when this was created and it was like, this is for girls and this is for boys, we did ourselves such a disservice. Mm-hmm. It should have been hockey for boys and girls and ringette for boys and girls. Yeah. Because there's going to be somebody that listens to this show that's like, well, my boy played in ringette. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's the same thing where we did a podcast previous. So it's like, well, this tournament that's been running for 33 years has had 3 girls in it. And it's like,
yeah, we allow girls.
Okay. It's like, that's still not the same. It's still a female sport. There's nobody that's growing up and has a son that's like, let's toss this guy into ringette.
Yeah,
no.
It doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't happen. No. But it doesn't seem like, because to go off what Cowie was saying before, like when you talk about ringette and the passion that you have and we see it, to know that there's just not going to be a boys for you to be like, you've made it to the top of the pyramid. Like, let's get real. Like, we're sitting beside Team Canada here, but the Olympics is where you want to go. Like, it seems like it was tough from the start, if that is the right way of saying it, I guess.
It was.
Right?
It's true. Yeah, and I think we don't want to, like we said, we don't want to discredit the fact that you can love a game and play it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's totally fine.
You should see when we get with these women that play Ringette. They're they're off.
They were just going off the handle on us about
Off the handle.
how fun they're, and they've been playing with these girls for 40 years. I don't even know. That makes them seem like they were 100. They weren't. but
They were, when you talk to Ringette people, and so I've ran a lot of sessions in the city, and when I would be either skating before or after a Ringette game, no word of a lie, your fans are legit. Like I remember is Transcona the Magic's home rink? Transcona?
No, but we kind of played all over the city.
Oh, okay. Because I remember I was skating at Transcona and there was a Magic game, and I literally, and this is going to be my bias, is I was like, oh, it's AAA midget female game. I'll stay and watch or whatever. And these people came in and they were ready to go.
Oh,
They were ready to like party. I was like, what's happening here? Okay. I'm like getting into the groove of it. And it was all Ringette people.
Yeah. So, and I need to, I guess, admit my faults in the fact that I think I've watched one Ringette game in my entire life.
Too. Yeah.
And it was when I moved to Winnipeg, and it was a friend of mine's kid, and she said, "You want to come watch Ringette?" And I said, "Okay." Yeah. And that was that. So I do want to give you an opportunity to plug the National Ringette League, because I think, we don't have enough time today to get into all the differences of Ringette and hockey. That's just not realistic.
Yeah, that's right.
But the National Ringette League that you play in, your team is the Manitoba Herd, right?
Yeah, Manitoba Herd.
Yeah.
Let's
so
go.
so let's plug that league and the games that you have coming up. Are the games live streamed when you're not in Manitoba?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
They're
so
live streamed on
that.
Ringette Canada's YouTube.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
See, so, and one thing we, quite honestly, I'm going to say a little French here, bitch about all the time is accessibility of watching women's
that's
sports.
right.
They used to not live stream them. Like, this probably started last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is pretty new, and like
Amazing.
it's
That's great.
That's a huge step, because we talk about this constantly. And like, if you don't just happen to stumble upon a Ringette game,
You can't.
you'll
can't
never
be a
see
fan.
it.
You don't-
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, plug where you're off to next, and then plug when you're going to be in Manitoba. So anyone listening, if they want to come and cheer you guys on, they can.
how do we watch Brett?
Okay, so in about 2 weeks, I'll be in Calgary for a hub weekend. I wish I knew the dates right now.
I think it was the 20th when I looked it up.
And explain a hub weekend. So what is a hub weekend?
Okay, so all of the teams in the West will go to one area. So there's the East and West side of the National Ringette League, teams all over. So the West will get together and we will just kind of all play each other in 3 or 4 games. And then you do that throughout the year. And then you get your placing after that for nationals.
Okay, I'm going to tell you when your games are.
We got her up. We got her up here.
I need to know my schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the weekend that you go to Calgary is January 21st,
January 21st.
which is a Saturday.
Put that in my calendar.
It looks like the Manitoba Herd plays the Edmonton Wham.
Yeah, we just got our schedule out, actually.
Okay, Alan, 1 o'clock on Saturday, Jan 1.
Did you just say, sorry, can we,
Edmonton Wham. Yep.
Wham.
Yep.
With an exclamation mark.
Yep.
Come on, baby.
And then you are up against the Saskatchewan Heat
Yep.
at 8 p.m. that same day. So get your legs on.
Yep.
And then the Sunday, 9:30 a.m. against Calgary Wrath.
Okay.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then,
Sounds
Writing
great.
that down.
okay, yeah, okay. And then let's just plug here. So the other side, how you were saying East and West. So the following weekend, there's NRL games. I am going to butcher a lot of these. Riv Sud Revolution.
Oh, yeah, Riv Sud.
Riv Sud. Is that us being very English?
I'm not very French either,
Okay.
but I played with a few of the girls, so
Okay.
I had to get it kind of right.
Gatineau Fusion, Montreal Mission, Atlantic Attack. That looks like the 4 teams on that side.
Yeah.
And so this is all going to be streamed on YouTube.
Yeah, they're all streamed on Ringette Canada's YouTube.
Very, very cool. Ringette Canada,
That's-
shout out to you guys for
yeah,
making it super, super
absolutely.
accessible for people. And then I'm just going to do you a favor, Brett, and tell everybody that if they want to watch you live and in person against the Saskatchewan Heat, they can go down to Seven Oaks Arena, the Blue Rink, at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, March 11th. You might see us there because I might
Yeah.
watch my second Ringette game of life.
3 games that weekend.
Yeah, it looks like you play at 10:30 in the morning on Saturday, and then you don't play again until 6:30 at night again against the Calgary Wrath.
That's maybe where we're going to bridge the gap between hockey and Ringette is 2 hockey people being commentators to a Ringette game.
Yeah.
And just being jacked about it.
Yeah, and then BC Thunder, you're up against them on at 11:30 on the Sunday, March 12th, which
Are they good? Let's talk about BC Thunder for a second.
They sound
Thunder. I'm not putting any teams down here, but last year they didn't have a team, so they're kind of rebuilding right now.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Still a great team though.
Yeah, so let's look at it does say I think some standings in here if
So let's break down what is your position?
So I'm a defense.
Yeah, and so, but we did learn that defense is like defense. You said you don't engage over the ringette line as much, but
Yeah.
would that be in hockey? That would be a stay-at-home D, is what I would call
I'd
you.
say
yeah.
probably more of a stay-at-home D. It's just, I think everyone essentially is, but you move with the rush. And if one of us is going like fast, like we're
you're
going
leading
in,
the rush,
yeah.
you're in.
And you kind of just watch and like see where everyone else is, and like, oh, is this a good time to rush? Is it a bad time? So it's like that.
Okay.
The Montreal Mission is the only 6-0 team in your whole league.
The Mission, baby.
Yeah, see, they're the East though, so we won't see them until
Edmonton
nationals.
Wham.
Oh,
Edmonton
okay.
Wham is 5-1.
Yeah.
You guys got 70 PIMs. How many of those are you? 60. How many of those are yours? Let's click on this.
I don't know, probably not too many.
I was just gonna say you're for sure gonna click on that link and find out it.
Let's deep dive here.
Okay, so is it the same? So tripping, high sticking.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all the same.
Body, boarding, cross-checking, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you get kicked out of a hockey game for too many penalties? Is that a thing?
Depends on what league. Competitive hockey, no. But
Okay.
like adult safe leagues and stuff, yeah. 3
Ours
penalties.
is 10 minutes. If you get 10 minutes worth of penalties, then you're out.
But penalties are 2 minutes or 3 with
2 minutes.
Okay.
It depends on what kind of penalty you get. If you're
I guess
hitting
if you
from
get a
behind,
4
If
minute,
you get if
then
you get like
you're going to be out way quicker.
but for us, if you get like an intent injury, or like a 5 minute hitting from behind or something, then you're
That's-
out of the
yeah.
game.
then you're out of the
Yeah.
game. But so say if you, for you trip that many times throughout a game, they're just like, see you around.
If I trip
5 times.
someone 5 times, yeah. I've only been kicked out once.
Do you remember your series of penalties that you got that game?
Okay, never mind. This happened twice. But no, I
thinking
don't.
about it?
But yeah,
funny.
you never know what you're going to get from the refs that day.
Yeah, I don't have to be shy. I have watched a hockey game or two from the stands. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Is the, with reffing, do you find that your refs are consistent? Is there like a group of people in Winnipeg that are like the female refs where you keep seeing, like I always remember
Other
seeing
thing,
Terry
do you
at
have
the
male
rink.
refs?
Yes, we have male and female refs.
Yep.
Honestly, we have a lot of male refs in Manitoba.
Which is interesting because they never played.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild to me. Do you have a lot of
That
male
is-
coaches?
I'd say it's pretty even actually.
I guess if you're
We have a male assistant coach. I've had male head coaches probably most of my AA career.
really
Yeah.
okay. Wow. That's a shocker to me for some
That
reason.
is me too. I would have just
Because like
assumed
to
it
me
would've
it
been
seems
somebody
like
that
an
was
easier
playing.
transition to have like a hockey dad who played hockey.
That's what you'll find that a lot.
Oh,
For
a
like
hockey-
younger teams, like one of the dads will go coach or something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
And then they learn and then they become
and they like are hockey. I've had a few people ask me like, they're like, I've only played hockey and I'm coaching my daughter's like ringette. Like, how do I explain this? Like, how did they do this? And I was like, okay, well, it's a little different than what you're thinking.
fair. Totally. Oh man, so cool. You know what? I think hopefully people appreciate this conversation. And honestly, Brett, if we have a million more questions, we'll have you back for another Ringette episode, because I think obviously Addie and I knew we had lots to learn, and it's just kind of, it seems like every time we ask a question, we're like, "Whoa, wow, okay.
Whoa, okay. That's like my head is spinning with the, like, male refs. Like that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So there must be some type of course or whatever that they have to, like my head's spinning right now, but it's because I nerd out on all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do want to just take a second to appreciate you, honestly, for coming out, chatting with us. It's not very often we get to talk to somebody that's been a part of Ringette Canada, and like
won a gold medal,
and we live in the same town.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so cool. And that's what Beauties was created for, is to start bridging and having these conversations. Yeah. And so people can learn about the actual facts. We hear all the time about, you know, so-and-so said this, something happened over here, whatever. Here is for the actual truth of what's going on, what is available for girls, what is available for the whole world of female athletics. So thank you very much for coming out. We really appreciate it.
It's the one thing I know a lot about.
Oh, and your willingness. It was I just tried to friend Brett on Instagram. And then I was like, this is going to be a really weird request because you don't know me, but I'd really like you to come on a podcast. And she right away was like, yeah, cool, man. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that.
That is so cool. And we're not joking about coming and watch you play. Yeah. We definitely want to come watch you play, and we'll probably have a million questions for you at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, Cowie, this has been a fun one, my friend.
It has been.
When we think about when we started this, how many times do you think people have talked to us about Ringette?
Oof, a lot of times. And, you know, just for everyone listening, I know, we hear you, we see when you comment about Ringette. We're not ignoring people. It's just, honestly, it was kind of like when we had Holly Naughton on for squash.
That's right.
We know that so Holly is a world ranked squash player. She was our national champion here in Canada this year. And we can't speak to squash because we don't know anything about it. And so we kind of held off on having a conversation about Ringette because we don't know. Yeah. That's become very evident for you today. So for the people who listen to us on a regular basis and give us feedback and have mentioned Ringette, we apologize it took so long, but hopefully you got something out of today's episode. Absolutely. And we wish you all the best, and we can't wait to watch you play. So, Cowie, final words. If this is your first episode here, thanks for being here at Beauty Sports. You can find us over on Instagram at Beauty Sports Talk. You can find Addie at Addie Miles Abbott. You can find me at Cowie14. Brett, do you want people to find you on Instagram, or you want them to ignore you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Brett_Amerongen.
There you go.
There we go.
If you can on this episode, make sure you head on over and give us a rate, 5 stars only, especially for Brett, and a review. That's the best way to help share this pod. Brett, we can't thank you enough for being here. It's been another fun one. We'll see you folks on the next episode.
Thank you all, and we will see you next week.